Hey Biggies, and welcome to the second episode of our pumpkin beer. I'm going to call it an experiment, and this week we're going to find out whether this is a pumpkin spiced beer or a pumpkin over-spiced beer. So last week we decided to court controversy by brewing our own pumpkin spiced coffee porter. Having never brewed one or not tasted one for a long time, we went down to Elusive Brew, which is owned by Andy Parker, a homebrew hero of mine, to find out all the technical details and the technical processes that we'd need to make a great pumpkin beer. So we learned a lot of valuable lessons from Andy, and what we did with those lessons was throw them out. So what we took when we were going to add stuff and what we were going to add, we kind of dialed up absolutely everything in that recipe to try and create a kind of semi-pastry version. And in the comments, people were, I'm going to say, shocked by the amount of stuff we put in. There were loads of comments saying that we might have overspiced this. Is that you, Brad? So a few days ago, not long after we'd done our brew day, Andy's beer turned up in the post. So this is Carvin Yams, the beer that he was brewing while we were down there, and it is an absolutely beautiful beer. But what I noted is the spice is quite light. There's lots of red berry notes from the coffee and some roastiness and some breadiness as well. But in terms of cinnamon, in terms of pumpkin spice, it's not huge. So I'm fairly confident with our bigger recipe, we might have got the spice right. There's one more step we need to take to get to our finished pumpkin latte style beer, and that is to add the coffee. So what I'm going to do now is taste our beer. It's just finished fermentation, and see what kind of coffee is really going to complement the flavours that we've got with triple the amount of spice and double the amount of pumpkin. So, does it need more bitterness, in which case we can use a heavy roasted coffee bean, or do we not want any more bitterness in there at all, in which case we use a lighter one? Do we want more sort of sweeter red berry notes like a porter, or do we want a little bit more chocolatey coffee kind of notes like a stout? Also, do we want more spice? So do we think that we've got the spice levels right in there, or could we jack it up a little bit using specific beans that might add that? So let's give this a taste, and then I'm going to meet Brad at one of our favourite coffee shops to pick our beans. So here we go. Woo! It smells amazing, really Christmassy. Loads of cinnamon, nice hints of ginger coming through, quite crystallised, quite sweet, which is probably the combination of sweeter malt and dried ginger. Wow, I'm really happy with that. It's really, really, really drinkable. Much lighter than I expected, given that we put the calcium chloride in, given that we'd added the maltodextrin. So I'm hoping a little bit more body will come once we introduce carbonation. But in terms of the flavours, it's lovely and crisp. We've definitely not overdone the spice. It's definitely not too sweet. In fact, I'd say the sweetness is bang on, and I thought I'd have to bring down the maltodextrin. Actually, we've got it right. The only thing that's really missing is a finish. So we could up the Magnum, but we don't really want a hoppy beer, so we're probably right to think that roastier coffee is going to be a good idea here. Add some coffee bitterness, add some roasted character, add some chocolate notes to this, and it could be a really, really special little homebrew. So we're at Monmouth to pick up our coffee. I've tasted the beer. It is very sweet. Not as sweet as the Starbucks version, but it's sweet.
Sweet. So you're saying it's too sweet, we need to take it down a notch?
Yeah, I want a bit more bitterness, lots of roasted character, lots of spice and chocolate and that kind of thing. So a heavy roast, spicy roast, something like that. We'll see what they have here. I'm after some quite heavy roasty, chocolatey kind of coffee.
So they've got the panache.
Yep.
It's on really nice and chocolatey, nutty, a bit of caramel.
Can't tell, but I'm smiling. Coffee achieved. It's going to be really nice, roasty, she said, chocolate, hazelnut, and caramel. It's going to be perfect, still with heavy bitters. Back to the brew, son. Let's make some coffee. So I'm back from Monmouth with a beautiful coffee. They were super helpful there. What we've got is a Brazilian blend, Fazenda Furnace. That is the best smell in the world. So how are we going to get these beans in? If you Google like how to add beans to homebrew, you get a million hits and a million different bits of advice. Like you could go the French press route, which is what Michaela did with their Beer Geek brunch beers. You could go with ground coffee, which would really hype up the extraction that you get. You could go with whole beans. You could go at pretty much any temperature you want. You could have gone during the mash, during the boil, during the fermentation, and during the cold crash. My favourite coffee beers have been made by Brew by Numbers, which is a small independent brewery in South London on the Bermondsey Beer Mile, who were one of the darlings of the industry, and they get as much love as they really deserve now. They still make just incredible beer. But their coffee beers are incredible. You get a proper caffeine buzz off of them, and they smell like opening a bag of beans. And they do that by basically adding those beans at the absolute last moment. So they cold crash their beers and then they toss in a large amount of whole beans. I want huge quantities of coffee aroma, and then you're going to start picking up on that sweet caramelized pumpkin and all of those spices. So 100 grams, 6 grams per litre, going into this cold. This was at about 3 degrees. It's now been out while I've been filming this, but I'm going to add it straight away, get it back in the fridge at super cold temperature. I'm going to leave it for 2 days. If that reminds you of something, that's exactly what I did for my massive dry hop edition in our New England IPA video, which you can watch at the end of this. That just means that the aroma is going to be, whether it's hops, whether it's coffee, whether it's spice, whatever it is, it's going to be as fresh as it can be. So I better finish this up and get those beans in. After 2 days at 2 degrees, I kegged it, carbonated it, and served it up for my man Brad, next to Andy's beer. So, moment of truth. Should we start with the moment of truth for Andy's beer?
Let's do it.
So, what do you think of this one? It's really lightly spiced, some real red berry from the coffee rather than roast, so it's quite a sweet aroma, isn't it?
It's quite sweet. I think if I'd like a biscuit made from this. It sort of feels like quite a comforting...
A doughy, raisiny oat biscuit.
Yeah.
With a coffee, yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's just a really nice brown bready kind of porter, red berry notes again, a little bit raisiny, not a huge amount of spice. No,
I mean, for a guy myself that's not really too sure about pumpkin beers, this is maybe the pumpkin beer for me, because I'm not really getting a lot of pumpkin beer. Just a very...
that bodes well for the beer we've made where we've added double the pumpkin and triple the spice. Excellent. Should we give it a go then?
Mate, so I could drink a lot of that. Can we say the same for ours?
Well, yeah, let's... I'm sceptical.
Wow.
So it looks good.
Yeah, it does look great.
A lovely little head coming up as well.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to give you a lot of this, but I won't. I'll stay to a sample amount.
I'm not even going to smell it yet, Johnny. I'm going to...
You're going to wait for me?
I'm going to wait. Good things come to those who wait, right?
Usually. Usually. Ooh!
Cheers.
Cheers, man.
To another good brew, hopefully. Whoa. Okay, it's pretty exciting.
Very different aroma, isn't it?
Totally different.
Loads of ginger.
Yes, yes.
And cinnamon. Little bit of roasty coffee. Not as much as I expected. At 6 grams per litre, I thought there'd be more, like real, like big bag of beans kind of aroma. But
is that like a fruitiness coming from the coffee beans, do you think?
I think there could be some fruitiness coming from there, but I think actually most of that is the malt.
On the nose so far,
yeah,
the naysayers,
you're into it.
They're wrong.
Okay, let's give it a go.
Nice.
That is really nice. That coffee finish is there now.
Yeah.
It's definitely there on the palate. There is roasty bitterness. There is some kind of nuttiness as well from the, like, I think she said hazelnut.
Yeah.
But there's a wonderful gingerbread note to this.
Yeah.
More so than the cinnamon, there's gingerbread notes. And I'm delighted by that. Like a gingerbread style stout, gingerbread latte. Don't Starbucks make one of them? Don't know, probably.
If they don't, they bloody should,
If
right?
it doesn't taste of coffee, Starbucks will serve you it. So it tastes absolutely banging.
Yeah.
Do you get any pumpkin? There's a lot of pumpkin in there.
I think I find the pumpkin hard to sort of work out what that brings to the table. With all that spiciness going on. But dare I say, actually, this I could drink this a bit spicier.
Really?
More spice.
Oh my god.
More spice.
I reckon always leave them wanting more.
Yes. Okay.
Let's go over to Andy Elusive. I sent him a bottle and see what he thinks of this and see if we should up the spice.
So, Johnny, Brad, thanks for sending the beer down. Let's get into it and see what we think. Excuse my gloves, we're mid-canning run at the moment. Go, nice kind of mahogany brown colour. I can smell cinnamon from here, I think. Oh yeah, it's got a, definitely getting the coffee coming out front there, and cinnamon, loads of cinnamon, which I like. Let's get stuck in. Yeah, I like it. It's more compared to carving yams. It's definitely more intense on the spice, but it's got that same kind of smoothness across the palate, slight creaminess that we get from the grist of that beer. Yeah, big on the spice for sure. But this is really does remind me of a lot of the pumpkin beers I had in the US. Definitely go big and bold on the cinnamon nutmeg. Yeah, it's like a more intense, amped up version of carving yams. Good job, guys. Well done. Nice work. Cheers.
Well, cheers, Andy. Let's get a little bit more, shall we? I think all three of us, for a homebrew, would call that a pretty resounding success.
Yeah, I think we didn't really try to make the same beer as Andy.
No.
We did our own spin on it. Does it taste like a pumpkin spice latte? #PSL. I'm not so sure, Johnny.
No, much more gingerbready.
Much more.
And much less sweet,
Yes.
which I'm very happy with.
Yes, me too.
In terms of what I tweak, so I took a little sneaky taste when I kegged it, and there was more coffee.
Right.
So I'm going to have a little look into how to try and, sustain that coffee flavour. Maybe it needed to be in there a little bit longer, or maybe coarsely grinding it might extract a little bit more, something like that. That's the only real flaw I see with this. I think the sweetness is bang on. The body's pretty nice. It could be a little bit richer. But that said, it's got a gorgeous head on it and stuff like that. So I'm really happy with everything except for a little bit of body, a little bit of coffee aroma. And if you're happy with the ginger, we nailed the spice. If you wanted more cinnamon, like Andy would have, then maybe up the cinnamon like he did.
Yeah, man. And as I said in our podcast, Friday 5 p.m, my favourite Spice Girls spice was always ginger spice.
It was always ginger.
So
There you go, full circle.
You've nailed it for me, buddy.
So guys, if you want to give that recipe a go, our recipe is now live on Brewer's Friend, as well as on our website, craftbeerchannel.com. If you want to hear some more analysis of this beer, we'll be doing it on our Friday 5 p.m. podcast on Friday. And otherwise, please, please, please do buy lots of beer from Andy Elusive, because he makes magical stuff and thoroughly deserves your support in these weird times. We've got another homebrew video already in the planning. In fact, today Brad and I are talking about our Christmas brew for 2020. We'll see you there.